Pageantry, and as you can see, I have the beautiful Gwen Furniol. She is, of course, our newly minted Miss World Philippines 2022, and I have the opportunity, maraming salamat, to secure her very first official interview as Miss World Philippines 2022. Good afternoon, Gwen.
Good afternoon, Tita Lavinia. I'm so honored to be here and to be interviewed by you as my first official interview.
Thank you. You know, the last time I also interviewed you, but this was at a press junket, so there were a lot of us. It was rather noisy, but now I think it's a perfect opportunity for our viewers and the pageant fans to get to know you, debunk some issues that have been thrown at you. But has it been a week? Hindi pa naman.
Not yet. The coronation was June 5, but I was crowned. All of our reigning queens have been crowned on June 6. So it went to the hours of June 6 and around 1 a.m.
So Gwen has had a little bit of rest. Kita nyo naman glowing na glowing. Pinag-uusapan namin kanina, guys. Ang glowing, ano sagot mo, Gwen, kanina?
Just a lot of sleep. Natutulog na ako ngayon.
Nakatulog na. So medyo hugot na ng energy. Okay, so I think my very first question is that now is the month of June. It's Independence Day month for the Philippines. Do you have events lined up now that you are Miss World Philippines?
I do, Tita, actually, but I'm taking this week to really gain back my energy, and especially with my mental health. It's been such a hectic pageant journey with so many hectic schedules. And tomorrow is my birthday, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Ilan taon ka na, Gwen?
I'm 21, turning 22.
Magpapapansit na daw si Gwen. Shos, talaga ba 21 lang tong kausap natin, guys?
Yeah.
But as you can see, Gwen is composed, and kitang-kita mo na kaagad in less than a week na basbasan ng pagka-Miss World. Now, Gwen, today I will be asking you about your Miss World Philippines journey. The last time I asked you very basic questions about yourself because not a lot of people know about you. Although this was actually your second try at Miss World Philippines. You're not exactly a pageant newbie, but I don't know, I'm just observing, and it seems like this whole experience was like something new, very different from your first experience. So I'm gonna ask you questions about this, and then maybe talk about some controversial stuff, answer some of them, tingnan natin kung kaya naman ni Gwen tong pinasok niya. Okay, so Gwen, I want to go back to your prep work muna, the days leading to the finals. So, how ready were you? Did you have like any, what do you call this? Like reservations going into the finals? What were your thoughts?
I think going to the finals, it's really putting everything together, everything that I've worked so hard for into one performance. And I really wanted to give it my best shot since this is my second time. And there was a lot of pressure on me to do as well as I did last year. Although I had so much room for improvement, I think, as you can see in my performance, I've improved a lot, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. And I really put that all in on coronation night.
Okay, so let's move on to something like physical muna. Because as we all know, guys, this is a beauty pageant. Bago ka man umusad to go into Q&A or to allow your audience to listen to you, kailangan plakado muna yung physical na side. Now, admittedly, when I first learned about you from last year, the only thing na tumatak sa akin was your headshot. I really like that headshot of yours. But then, of course, the rest of your performance, wala na akong masyadong alam. So, we got invited. I was part of the media folks who got invited to get to know you in this press meet and greet. And I remember saying to myself, okay, I'm gonna do my job because this is what I do as a media person. I'm gonna cover this girl. I'm going to ask the questions, but I will allow myself to observe you and see kung talagang may merits ba talaga tong kandidatang to. And luckily, because of that break, I got the chance to get to know you and to listen to you. Guys, importante kasi sa akin yon. Bago pa ako magbenta ng idea sa inyo, kailangan medyo may basis muna ako. And one of the things that I remember saying to my partner, Tita B, is that you're very composed, you're polite, you're well-spoken. Medyo mahina lang ang boses, Gwen, but that was worked on.
Right? right? I really had Tita Lavinia's voice in my head because she always told me that I'm too soft-spoken. I need to be more resilient when I speak and speak with conviction. And that's what I really tried to prove on Coronation Night during the Q&A section.
Sobrang totoo yan. Kasi nung Miss World Philippines, guys, nandun ako sa harapan, ang katabi ko, isang media person din. And this media person is a veteran. He has been covering since the 1980s. When we listen to you, verbatim, ang sinabi namin, si Akla, ang lakas ng boses. Talagang sabi namin, nangampan niya si Akla. What made you think that you're already there, you had the mic, what clicked in your head, I need to have this voice be heard in this arena?
Before the Coronation Night, many people kept telling me, even my Q&A advisor, which is Ate Candy, she kept telling me, speak loud, don't be afraid to be loud. And when I had the mic in my hand, that was the first thought that came into my head. That's my only chance to prove to people, my confidence. When you're on stage, you have to show confidence. You have to show everyone that you're capable, especially with my ERDA Foundation. The volunteers were there watching me, and I was the voice for them. I wanted to prove them that I could be the voice for the children who have no access to education.
This is also one of the things that I would like to share to our viewers. Because if you get the chance to watch a pageant live, of course, it's a really different vibe kapag nandun ka kasama ng audience at nakikita mo kung malakas ang kandidata. When you were competing, of course, hindi naman pwedeng oblivious ka sa nangyayari. But
Yes.
did you hear the audience cheer for you? Because I was sitting there and I was observing. I remember telling one of the folks that I was chatting with, kasi hindi nila pinatay yung internet na nanonood kami dun. So, ang dami kong kachika sa mismong venue. I remember telling one of my chatmates, sabi ko, parang si Cortez ito pag lumalabas. Every time lumalabas ng stage, naghihiyawan yung mga tao. Did you feel that? I mean, were you aware na may ganung support system while you were at the venue?
No, Tita, I wasn't aware, and that made me so much stronger, so much more determined to prove everyone how much improvement I went through since last year. I worked so hard, and I've even dieted like crazy. As you know, I've eaten cleanly for like nearly 1 year to be where I'm at today.
Who convinced you to go into pageantry?
My first handler and also my mother. I never was really interested in pageantry before, but someone told me, you should join Miss World. You have that aura. And I was also working with my advocacy before that voluntarily because it's really close to my heart. It's my mom's advocacy.
Yeah.
She's a beneficiary. And I really wanted to show that on a greater platform, on a larger audience. And I thought Miss World is the perfect place for it.
You mentioned during that press junket that you chose this foundation because this was the very foundation who helped your mom. Now, for the rest of you guys who are watching, maybe hindi kayo aware, but you did mention that your mom was marginalized. She was really poor growing up. And this was the foundation who took her out of poverty. So it was like giving back to you. Tama ba?
Yes, but I wouldn't say that I chose it. I think ERDA Foundation chose me. They're the reason I was born. Because without their help and their faith into my mother, I wouldn't be here today.
Let's talk a little bit about ERDA Foundation. What exactly do they do? And what exactly is your role in the foundation? And how would you want to enrich this program for yourself and for the organization?
So it was founded by Father Pierre Chitz, who was a Frenchman, and he gave up his citizenship in France just to become a Filipino because he really wanted to empower children through education. And he saw in the Philippines how people lack education, not because they're not capable. Filipinos are super smart, super driven.
Adaptable sobra.
Exactly. They're the most creative people we know. Of course, we have singers. You don't even need them to have a background of education for them to show how intelligent they are. But what lacks in the Philippines is the focus on education. And that's what Father Pierre Chitz wants to do. He wanted to make sure that our children are encouraged to go to school. There is hope for them, and there is so much opportunity out there.
When I want to understand why is there such a premium on education for someone as young as you? Kasi I remember when I was in school, ang motivation ko was that I wanted to finish. I did not exactly want to finish with flying colors. I just wanted to finish because it was only my mother who sent money for my education. And ako gusto ko lang matapos ng masabing, ma, kawawa ka naman, tapos na ako. We're done. We're fine. Whatever I do right after this, ako na yun. But when I was as young as you, I did not think about helping or putting up a foundation. Wala sa isip ko yun. Bakit sa'yo may ganun at a very young age?
You know, Tita, it's how you look at education. For me, I really enjoyed it because I think I chose the right course for me, economics.
Oh, economics!
Yes.
Guys,
I love
may economics ako noon. 12 lang ang score ko. My gosh, paano ba ako nakagraduate noon? Talaga ba? Did you know that? Because guys, I did not know that. You took up economics.
Yes, I did. And actually, I was the only girl in my class. I think it's more of a, men or boys prefer economics. There's not many female in that field. So I really wanted to break that image, break the stigma that female cannot do economics because I really, really enjoy economics and I'm so passionate about it.
Very interesting. Kasi if you look at it, malaki talaga yung correlation ng economics and education, especially in the Philippine setting. Alam naman natin na the go-to reason why kids aren't able to really pursue their education is because of economics, because of their economic background. So, ERDA Foundation, with your help, I think it's gonna be a lot bigger now. I mean, support will be a lot tighter for this organization. Is Miss World Philippines supportive of this? Alam ko medyo bago pa lang. You probably haven't had the time to sit down and talk about this. But are they willing to work with you on this? Or will you have other causes to work with Miss World Philippines organization?
Well, we had a section which is called the closed door interview. And there I was able to share my story, my mother's story, and the Filipino children that ERDA has helped. So I was really able to shine a light on the real issues that people are going through. And I want the world to know that. And as your new Miss World Philippines 2022, I want to shine light on these really prominent issues that we're going through, which is a lack of access to education.
So you're pretty lucky because Miss World Philippines, honestly, even if a lot of people say they're no longer interested, people are still talking about the last edition. Kasi nga naman, there are still things that are unresolved, maybe. So you were one of the lucky ones who got really good questions at Miss World Philippines na alam mong nakaariba ka ng gusto. You were asked a question about education. How did you feel when you were processing this question? Medyo eto na yung napag-uusapan mo eh. Medyo eto na yung alam mo comfort zone mo. How did you feel when you got that question?
Honestly, it was kind of overwhelming. I was born to answer any question about education. So all the thoughts in my head came in like seconds.
Paano mo filter, no?
Right?
Tama.
And it's hard to put it all together. But I tried my best to put the points out there. I wish I could have explained more about how we can, shine light on how we can help the children with education during the pandemic, because there's a lot of problems with that, especially with a lack of funds from our government, putting it into laptops or Wi-Fi, which is very expensive, and our children cannot afford that. Many are unfortunate, and that creates barriers to education, and that's what I want to break, those barriers and obstacles.
Gwen, while preparing for your second stint at Miss World Philippines, of course, you were doing this still at the middle of the pandemic. And I think the pandemic is a really good example of how people get to be creative. At one point, we decided that our children should not have classes face-to-face and everyone should just try the virtual setup kahit na alam natin that in the depressed and then the poorer areas as well as the rural areas, mahirap talagang i-implement tong ganitong scheme na gusto. Was this like a really good training ground for you to try to pick on like issues? Ano pa bang pwede kong ayusin? Ano pa bang pwede kong isipin about education knowing na itong sitwasyon sa Pilipinas?
I think our government right now is still choosing health over education, which I completely understand. And even teachers such as myself had to adjust from face-to-face to online studies. But I saw the students really struggle the most with that. It's so hard to teach our children without seeing them in person, without seeing them grow in person, right?
So, teacher tong kausap ko, guys. Kung hindi niya naitatanong, teacher din ako ng matagal. Teacher ako! So, gets ko to.
Really? Teacher? Wow.
I taught English for years sa Chinese students, Korean students, and Filipino students as well. So gets ko to. Gets ko yung it's not about filling your shift, pero talagang knowing na may natutunan yung bata.
Yeah, it's like there's a barrier between you and the child. And for me, I really want to bond with the child on
Okay.
a personal level. I want to know their personality, what their future is like, because a child is so creative, their minds, it's everywhere. They have so many dreams, but you can't see that through a screen. You have to do that face to face with them.
What's happening in the Philippines when it comes to education, and this is something that I want to bring out because you're now Miss World Philippines and there will be world issues and social issues thrown at you. The issues that we have here in the Philippines on education is pretty different from the rest of the world. I want to talk a little bit about what you know with the rest of the world because right now what is happening in the USA is something that I feel we have to talk about, although it's not something that could be applicable in this country, but in their country, they're talking about gun control, they're
Yes.
talking about safety. Hindi na nga education yung nauunang priority Safety na nga What's your take on this? Now that you probably have time to watch the news and really check on what's happening out there.
Yes, of course. During my preparation for Coronation, I was always looking at the news, and what was prominent was the gun crimes happening
Yes.
in the US, especially. And that's something we could all learn from Filipinos, that we should educate our children that violence is not the answer, and we could solve things through communication. That's why we have to teach them young and make them aware that we can do this through love and positivity, not use weapon of defense that could cause death. And I think that's really the wrong way to do it. That's our last option, not even an option, I believe. So we should really educate our future generation on that, on gun control, especially in the Philippines.
I think you're also the perfect person to talk about this because your upbringing is an upbringing of two worlds. The Asian world on this side and of course the Western thinking.
Yes.
So when we talk about gun control, when we talk about the safety of children and then connect that with education, di ba? Parang kasama talaga siya sa discussion ngayon. So moving forward, since hindi naman to applicable dito sa setup natin, what do you wish to achieve now that you are Miss World Philippines, at least with ERDA Foundation, at least with the social cause that is closer to you?
Well, I want to use my crown as a voice to send a message to those and really make an impact on more than, because ERDA helped nearly 1 million children.
talaga?
Yes,
Okay.
Father Chits helped nearly 1 million children. He made an impact on their life, and he was only one person, but of course he had a community of people trying to help
of
him.
course.
Yeah, so for me, trying and being able to reach to the world and give that message, I think that will make people aware, more educated on how they can help each other. Because Philippines need to unite in times like these. We shouldn't create a division between us. We should really stick together and make people focus on these issues. And also with ERDA advocacy, we try to do that, empower people. And of course, our theme this year for Miss World is exceptionally empowered Filipinas. So I think my advocacy fits perfectly for that.
At saka tama-tama, di ba, you mentioned about uniting people. Ano ba naman na nag-unite sa atin kung hindi basketball, beauty pageant,
We have
diba?
so many common.
Exactly.
Yes, that's
exactly. So, and we've seen this before. There are causes that were forwarded by our prominent beauty queens, and now it's like common topic like mental health. If it hadn't been for Kylie, hindi na natin ma-open up yan.
Which I love because
Exactly.
that tells you that beauty pageants, people have a bad
Nag-elevate na.
image of it, right? They think it's just looking pretty on screen. They don't know the hard work we go through and the mental health obstacles as well. So I'm really glad that Miss World was able to open that door and allow people to talk about their emotions, because that's so important. We are all human beings and we all experience different emotions, and that's completely normal.
So, Miss World Philippines ngayon, I remember asking you why Miss World Philippines, and then you mentioned that this was because it was aligned with what you've been doing anyway. So, hindi ko na talaga nag-isip ng other pageants to join. Eto na talaga yun.
Yes, I know.
Very interesting. Kasi syempre lahat kami, bakit ka mag-Miss World? Diba? Hirap-hirap. Pero alam naman natin na alaga ka ng Miss World Philippines ngayon, and if we had some differences with Miss World Philippines and how it was handled a few years ago or maybe last year, I think that they are trying their best to improve and maybe do something else this year. So I am really very hopeful na your reign will be as fruitful as it can be. So because you won and because you competed against heavy favorites that are known in this competition, of course, it's inevitable for people to have their own theories. And I've been debating on how to present these questions for you because a lot of these questions and a lot of these issues are actually quite sensitive and probably not even appropriate to talk about. But I also want to normalize this conversation because number one, kasama kasi yung pageant media on how this works. And then number two, perception. And then number three, of course, it involves fans, it involves groups. Although in the larger scheme, mukhang petty naman na tong mga issues na to. So I want you sana to try and address some of these issues. A lot of people were saying that you stepped up of the competition around 2 weeks prior to the finals. Mm-hmm. Is there some truth to this? Because I think a lot of people felt that a lot of us admins started posting your photos, they say around 2 weeks before the finals. Therefore, a lot of us were paid to do it. What can you say about this?
You know, Tita, since the beginning of joining Miss World Philippines 2022, I've been working quietly.
Okay.
I guess I was trying to be really consistent in everything. I even got in most fast-track challenges through determination. Sometimes I didn't sleep, sometimes I forgot to eat, and I even pushed away my family at those times because I was so busy. And I really wanted to achieve so much more because last year I felt like I didn't do as well as I could have had, as well as I could have done. So I really transformed myself, and I think it was just the timing really from the pictures being taken out. I think people started to notice me more. Many people weren't aware that I actually joined last year.
Yun na nga.
And people weren't aware that I joined this
Akala
year.
nila pageant newbie to. Hindi naman siya sobrang pageant newbie, guys. Second try niya na rin to. But di pa nga, iba yung determination mo ngayon. Kasi guys, if you remember, it wasn't just me. Actually, I got the collage from Sir Norman Pino of Norman's Vlog. And he made the collage of what you look like in 2020?
2021.
2021. Yes. And then, 2 other photos were like how you look like now. So, dun pa lang sabi ko sa post ko, dun pa lang nakikita mo na yung determination eh. Kasi nga, di ba, before ka makapagsalita, kailangan muna yung physical plakado. Eh, plakado yung physical. So, that's like one box tick in that pageant list.
Yes, Tita. And that was actually a criticism that I always got before, that I was too big, I looked big on the screen. But I didn't take that negatively because, you know, I know as a beauty queen, you have to take care of yourself. You're a role model to many people. And it doesn't mean that I did it the unhealthy way. I was just very strict with myself because I was so determined to be a better version of myself, not just physically, just emotionally, and, you know, just have that mindset that I can do it, that I'm capable. And I'm really lucky to have, you know, the right positive support. My team knows that. They were with me through day 1 last year, and they were super shocked at the transformation.
Yeah.
But I didn't, you know, take it in that I transformed that much. For me, I worked hard. I just became consistent, and I saw results. But I didn't see it until Tito Norman posted those pictures.
Yun.
Yes.
Ako naman, I did not realize this because I wasn't involved last year. I haven't been involved with Miss World Philippines for quite some time. But when they started, mending relations with us at Titas of Pageantry, and we got more involvement with their pre-pageant activities, and they were more open for me to get to know you girls, dun ko talaga nakita na we really missed out. And for the longest time, I even kept on saying, this girl is petite, she's only like, 5 something, until I learned that you're actually 5'8".
Yes.
So if you come to look at it, because a lot of the folks at the pageant sites, they would always gauge popularity then with height. So I did not realize you were one of the taller girls from this batch.
Yes, I think it wasn't obvious in pictures last year, especially with my physique and my posture, which brings a lot of confidence when you have the right
Oo
posture as a
naman.
music queen. So it's
Diba?
very important. Those are things that I've learned from last year to this year, that even the small things make a huge difference.
So you seem to have gotten into the Miss World Philippines journey super duper prepared. Now, from the competition, you did really, really well sa Q&A. Although, admittedly, a lot of people were saying there were others who did better. Oo, nandun na ako. But you did not falter. So, these are like points that would add up. And, you know, pag na-accumulate na lahat ng scores na yon, nakapuntos ka sa lahat ng aspects.
Right.
There were other girls. I think one of the girls na talagang pinag-uusapan natin ngayon was what happened with Paula Ortega. I was there, but I was on the other side. How was it ba? I just want to know. I know that Paula felt really bad about this. She already put out a statement out there. But as a pageant girl, while you were there, ano ba talaga yung feeling that answering this question? Maingay ba talaga? Hindi niyo ba talaga marinig si judge? What was the situation like on stage?
Tita, actually, it was a bit hard to hear from the stage with all the contestants. I had a hard time hearing my question. I had to put two words together and really answer the best I could, because I didn't want to ask again. I thought, that would make me look unprofessional or not prepared, but I was ready for that night. And I think there were some technical issues, which wasn't really the organization's fault, because that day, that was the only day we could rehearse. We weren't allowed to use MOA Arena before that.
Yeah.
So we all had to put together. But compared to last year, I think there's a huge improvement from what happened. And, they really worked together. Our team, our organization really worked together to make the best night that could happen for all the girls so they could shine on that stage.
So, medyo unfortunate lang talaga yung nangyari kay
Yes, but I think you really have to work with that and work through it. And as Paula said, it's really fate and luck as well that decides for you on that night.
Pero super strong then also for Paula to, just hustle and knowing what she went through because she posted something about it and then she finished pa the whole pageant in that disposition.
Yes.
I mean, props to Paula, right?
She's the kindest, sweetest person I've ever
I know,
met.
she was super pretty
She's
that
so
night too.
sweet. We call her Mamacita.
Because she is a mamacita.
Yeah, she just has that Spanish vibe to her.
I know,
Right?
no?
And she always takes care of us. And that night we had to take care of her.
Nice.
We were so
Yeah.
worried.
Okay,
And as sisters, you don't see the competition at that time. You see her as a sister, as a
Okay.
friend, someone you need to help and uplift, because that's what we have to do as exceptionally empowered Filipinos.
Well, this is what I always say. Like, sometimes, nadadala tayo sa narrative na nakikita natin sa pageants. We always think that these girls are catty, that these girls will just sabotage your clothes or your makeup. But, in reality, it's the camaraderie that you get to develop. Para siyang, honestly, sa totoo lang, hindi naman ako nag-pageant sa buhay ko, guys. Pero ang nakikita ko sa kanya is yung setup sa all-girls Catholic school. Kasi doon ako lumaki. So, alam ko na yung friends ko from grade 1 hanggang high school, kahit na nag-asawa na, sa ibang-ibang parte ng mundo, parang, pag may mangyari, may namatayan or something, kami-kami pa rin yung mag-chip-in, kami-kami pa rin yung magkakamustahan. So, this is how I view pageantry. That's probably why I have, like, this rose-colored approach to pageantry. Like, I'm also very cutthroat in like pointing out things that aren't aligned, but when it comes to pageantry, like, I find joy in it. What about you? Do you find joy in pageantry?
I think, yes, the way you view it. For me, I really enjoyed my journey, and the sisters that I made, those are for life. Even after Coronation, I got to speak with every one of them. I was really lucky to be able to bond with all of them. Even if they come from different backgrounds, different provinces, I was able to absorb and learn about them, as they're so beautiful inside and out. And I'm really glad to have met them in my life.
Sino yung mga close mo na girls usually dun sa circle na yun? Kasi of course, friendly naman tayo sa mga girls na yan, pero hindi ma-help na meron ka talagang grupo. Sino yung mga usual na close friends mo dun?
For me, it was Cassandra, Maria Gigante, and Paula, as well as my roommate, Aliana, because of course she's my roommate. She saw every part of me, day and night. So I think those are the girls I could really relate to on another level, especially Paula, since she has a Spanish side and I'm half French.
Yes.
So we go hand
It's
in
the
hand
European
together, right? We could really go well along together. But we also love to embrace our Filipino side. And with Maria, she taught me some Bisaya words or like facts about Cebu, which I never knew before. And Maria is so determined, so strong, and I'm really excited to see what her future holds for her.
Yun pa yung gusto kong tanong ngayon. With the four, was that four? Four girls that you mentioned, Cassandra, Maria,
And Paula,
Paula and
my
Aliana.
roommate, yes.
Okay, so with the four girls that you mentioned, can you tell me something or like an adjective na talagang tumatak sa'yo about these girls? Ano yung mga pwede mong hugutin na characteristics about these girls na pwede mong i-imbibe as a new Miss World Philippines? Let's start with Aliana.
Ayana, I would say she's very understanding.
Okay.
You know, she's very understanding of me, and I was able to give her advice because I saw myself in her. She's a first timer as well. So I told her this is just the beginning of your journey. There is so much more to you. And she really shone at the end of Miss World Philippines. She got in top 10 for top model. I was so proud of her. And even if she's from a different camp as well, I didn't see that with her. She was so nice to me, so kind, and she was always helping me with my makeup, especially even though I'm more of a veteran than her. She was helping me with that.
Talaga?
Yes.
So, syempre kailangan yun. Part yun ng pagiging queen, receptive ka rin sa mga ganyan. So, what about Paula? What is a characteristic or something about Paula na talagang tumatak sa'yo?
I think I would say tenacious.
Okay.
You know, she never gave up. She kept going, and she didn't just did it in a way that it was for herself.
Okay.
She encouraged her sisters. When I was doubting myself, especially during competition, I had so many people doubting me. She was the only one who always believed in me. She said, "Gwen, don't say those things. You have to have the mindset that you're the winner."
But
you're
rolling
the
her
best."
R's.
Right.
Right.
Or mamacita, of course.
Sabi ko sa kanya, Paula, every time I see you, it makes me want to roll my R. Wala.
Like, she's so sexy. And
I know.
Yeah, not in a vibe, just not just her body, her personality.
And the
her
voice.
attitude, right?
Right.
The voice. I could listen to it all day.
All right. What about Maria Gigante?
I think she's same as Paula, very determined, ambitious, and she has that passion in her. Like, she has a fire in her that she really wants to show to the world. She's extremely smart. She knows so many facts, and she's ready for this pageant. And I got to know her on another level because we would always have talks in the toilet, you know, pep talks. We would encourage each other.
Girl talk, chika-chika sa toilet. Hindi pwede mag-toilet ng isang tao.
Exactly, and that's what I didn't really see last year. I didn't see
Oh,
that much of a
okay.
sisterhood. I think we were more enclosed to our roommates.
No, tama. Kasi last year, di ba, parang you were in a bubble and then you weren't in a bubble and then you were in a bubble again. So medyo mahirap na naman talaga to make
It was hard to
real
adjust.
connections from
Mhm.
last year. And then, what about Cassandra? Cassandra is actually one of my favorites in the competition.
Yes,
Mm.
Cassandra is so sweet. I really love her aura. She's like, I never noticed she was older than I thought she was. I thought she was 19 or 20. I think she's
Bagets, no?
27, right? So her personality is very sweet, queenly, and she has this aura where she wants to help everyone around her, especially with Paula. Paula was her roommate, and she always showed the sisterhood to Paula, that she was so caring for her and she would do anything for Paula.
No, I ask this question because I'm preparing to ask you on the other side of this friendly relations with these girls. Because in the world of pageantry, it's not just a discussion that everybody sees on social media. There are such things as closed groups. There are such things as DMs and, you know, very private conversations. And I remember telling myself that I was debating on whether I would make a separate episode on you, on why you won. But then I stopped myself from doing that because I felt, why would I speak up for Gwen on this? I mean, it's gonna be so obvious because I actually really like you. And that's not like, it's not cheap, like when I say these things, because I really have to at least get to know the person or like really see vast improvements. And one of the things that I really hold on to is, you know, vast physical improvement. Bonus na lang sa akin, guys, kung medyo umayos-ayos pa tayo sa comm skills. Pero, yun nga eh, that collage thing was already an indicator for me na hard worker ka. So, one of the things that I remember, because it hasn't even been a week, sabi ko, bakit parang medyo passive-aggressive yung mga naririnig ko? Not passive-aggressive because they're not super out there, but in close groups, in DMs, I would get a lot of messages giving me links to your old Instagram account with the way you were styled back then. Sobrang bagets na bagets ka pa doon. Yung kilay mo, sobrang kapal pa noon. And they were like telling me, Tita, baka pwede mong sabihin kay Gwen na burahin niya na to. Hindi ako nagsumasagot because I feel like you probably look 16, 15. Why? I mean, this Instagram account is no longer an active account. I know that you have a new account. Wala naman nagbago sa itsura mo. It's just that you were not as queenly, of course, as you were with that first Instagram page. Gusto nila baguhin. A lot of them were not very happy with the results. Sabi ko sa'yo nun, it's okay to be unbothered, but do not be uninformed. Meaning to say, keep an eye out for what everyone else is saying. While you were reading this, because I'm sure that you have been reading, hindi mo naman pwedeng sabihin, oh, I don't go to social media.
It's hard to ignore all these.
Kailangan magbasa-basa rin tayo. I want to know how you felt about it. Gusto mo bang, did you want to take on the social media and say, wait lang, I want to explain myself? May ganong moments, or did you just want to keep quiet and then just take it in?
I think as a beauty queen, I don't need to explain myself.
Yan!
Right? I don't need to explain myself to people. They can see what they want on social media. But I know myself that I have a good heart and I don't wish any harm on anyone, Tita. So silence, I think, is the best revenge for anyone. So just to keep your head up high and elevate each other, not think that you're above someone else. And that old Instagram post of me, I think it's more like
Cute
a journey,
eh.
right? I think people expect me to be perfect since day one. I'm not gonna agree with I was perfect since day one. I need to prove to myself that I've gone through so much, and those pictures are what shows to the world that I went through so much to get to where I am today. And no one looked perfect at 15, 16 years old. I didn't care about my looks. I didn't care about what I was doing. I think I was just having fun, and that's what matters. That's what childhood is about.
I think there is this weird expectations, especially with biracial girls, that Filipinos always think that they're born this way bago pa sila sumabak sa pageant kasi they're mestiza to begin with. But not knowing na, of course, you're a kid. Sabi nila, Tita, bulungan mo na, naburahin. Sabi ko, ayokong gawin yan. Kasi if I look at her photos, and honestly, it's also one of the advice that I give to other candidates, especially when they have like so much work done and they don't want, let's say, fans from the other countries speaking into what work they've done. So sasabihin ko, girl, linisin mo na lang yung social media mo para wala na lang tayong problema. But in your case, I particularly remember saying, bakit kailangan burahin ni Gwen? I mean, I looked into that Instagram account. It only had a few photos, but when I looked at the photos, it seemed to contain all of your happy memories.
Is that like the pictures of me, like my face? I think it's my mother who posted those things.
Well, I don't remember,
before.
but it was your name. But you had your brothers there, your life. You had like photos in London, photos in France. So I was like saying, bakit kailangan yung burahin? And I'm looking at the photos. It seemed like happy memories.
Right, and I don't want to erase that part of my life. It's like pushing my past away, and I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of my past. I may have had an awkward stage, going through puberty. I mean, who hasn't, right?
Just wala akong awkward stage. Pero ako confident sa buhay ko.
Dito?
Oo, sobrang tumaba, pumayat. Ganun ako ka-confident.
Yeah, everyone goes through those, especially women, right? They go through those stages. You don't care about your diet when you're younger. You just eat whatever you want. It makes you happy. Diba? And I want to tell children that they don't have to grow up so early.
Exactly. And I want to normalize the fact that, kasi ako rin to, ang kapal ng hair ko noon. Makapal yung hair mo. Frizzy yung hair ko
right?
din.
I went
Frizzy
through that
yung hair.
stage. Super
Exactly.
frizzy. It's so hard to handle. But I think I've learned, how to work with it.
Kasi syempre, meron na tayong, di ba, may handler ka na, meron ka na nag-aayos. So, I guess, message lang for people who are like super picky on how girls or pageant girls look when they were a lot younger, surgery or no surgery. Bakit may ganung mindset? Anong pwede mo sabihin sa kanila about it?
I think for me, not everyone, you're not born to be a beauty queen. That goes through determination and hard work. So deleting all these memories from the past, that's like missing a chapter in your life. And you have to be true to yourself because being a beauty queen, it's all about the attitude. It's about being authentic. And it's not just about looking perfect. It's about being true to yourself and accepting your past, accepting your flaws and working from there. from your transformation, which is what I did. And that's why I think right now I'm Miss World Philippines 2022 because of all these lessons in my life.
So guys, silipin nyo na lang yung IG account ngayon. Nandun yung photos ng mga brothers. Alam ko, maraming interesado sa mga brothers. Nakakaloka kayo. Kasi, wala. Sinend nila sa akin. I didn't even know that Instagram account.
I didn't even know either.
Talaga ba?
I think it's my mom who posted those things.
Hindi pa alam ni Gwen yun. So, but that's good lesson as well. Speaking of lessons, and I'm asking these questions to you now because you're a lot elevated now. You're no longer a candidate. You are Miss World Philippines now. And of course, you went through all this. You went through your training, and you also had your fair share of people helping you out and people probably not helping you out the way you expected them to be. I want to learn about your opinion on, let's say, creatives and designers, because you're pretty lucky. You have the resources, inalagaan ka ng gusto, and then one of the reasons why you're also very successful in this campaign is because you really prepared for this. And guys, when you say you prepare for something, hindi libre yan. Talagang maglalabas at maglalabas ka ng pera dyan. And I don't want this to be a hush-hush conversation kasi it is what it is. So, etong ginawa mo ngayon, there will be creatives who would want to help you out, especially because alam naman natin, one of the ways to gain traction and popularity in this country is to get into social media, show business, entertainment, beauty pageantry even. So, kasama ng pagtaas ng kandidata is pagtaas ng mga creatives na tumulong sa kanya. But sometimes there are creatives that would go overboard, creatives who probably think that they are bigger than who they actually are, and there are some who may be on the side that would bully or that would really impose what they want on a candidate. Being someone so young and having this experience as well, ano yung masasabi mo with the other candidates who would want to get into this? What do they have to watch out for?
I was in that place because I came to the Philippines as an independent girl, and now I'm a woman. I'm your Miss World Philippines 2022, and it was hard for me to trust back then because I was very alone entering the world of pageantry. I wasn't aware of people's attitude or mindset, especially in the design or creative world.
Yes.
You really have to experiment on who you can trust, who knows you best, and who knows your style best. And I'm grateful to have found that, especially with my team. But I have to say honestly, it took a lot of experimenting. I have to trust them with the process and try out new looks, especially going to Miss World. People have been telling me I need to tone down, I need to go through different looks. Even Tita Lavinia.
People were telling me, what else is sasabihin? Tita Lavinia was telling me.
Stop with the glittery outfits. Stop with that. You have to, be yourself, be chic, explore those different looks. And people can criticize me, and I take that as an improvement of myself. I can, improve myself in the future. So those criticism is, for me, positive. I better myself with those.
So, moving forward, guys, may glitters pa rin tayo, may bling-bling pa rin. Pero nakikita niyo naman, very, very early on, nakikinig tong si Baguette sa atin. Hindi na siya masyadong blingy. And I think moving forward, this is also the direction that you're going for. Give us a little bit of a hint. I know it's very early. You have an early start. You will have a longer period to prepare for Miss World because we don't know whether it's gonna happen by the end of the year or if they have like other ideas or have it next year. We don't know, but definitely what we know is that you have time. Give us a little bit of an idea of where you're going to be when it comes to your preparations, or a little bit of a hint saan ba tayo dadalhin ng yung styling this year.
Well, I think they said I have 6 months, but I don't want to take time for granted. That's why I'm working right now, straight away, so I can be prepared in advance. I can know my flaws, my faults, what I need to work on, and that's really important, especially since I'm representing the Philippines. And I want to earn a place in the Filipinos' hearts because Filipino tayo, and I want to work together. People can send me messages, tell me what to improve, and I'm really grateful for those, Tita. People are sending me...
Hindi kasi ibig sabihin involved sila. Ibig sabihin pinapansin ka nila. They want you to succeed. Kasi a lot of people, and honestly, I say a lot of people kasi maraming dumadaan na comments sa akin. Of course, they had other choices for Miss World. Even I had a different Miss World. Even I was really open with you when you guys asked me, do I see you at Miss World? Honestly, sinabi ko, hindi. Pwede kang pang supra in the
Yes,
other
you told me that
crowns.
from the start.
Right. But once the dust has settled, wala na tayong magagawa sa placements, and all we can do is support our candidate. And all we want to hear from our candidate is, okay, I'm hurting right now, but I'm gonna do my best. And luckily, naririnig ko naman din yun with the others. But with you, walang hurt feelings because you got the top flung. Pero ano yung gusto naming marinig from you sa gagawin mong preparation? Just to, not na lang prove your naysayers wrong, but to prove to your followers that they were right in believing in you.
I think many people didn't expect me to be the next Miss World Philippines 2022. But on that stage that night, I gave it my all, and all the hard work paid off, especially as a second timer. I'm so grateful, but I'm also determined because this is not over. This is only the beginning.
Yeah, 6 months,
right? People think it's over. I have so much room to improve. I have so much to do, so much planning with my team, with Pro Media. I have to do my NatCos, my gown, my styling, which is probably going to be like 80 outfits, which I need to get ready. And I need to sketch that with my team and get it approved. It's not just what you see on social media, just pictures of me looking like, I look good and made up. The work behind it is extremely difficult, but it's so much, it's so much effort. It's so worth it in the end because I am representing the Philippines as your Miss World Philippines 2022.
Kakaloka. I'm looking at you and I was thinking, where was I when I was 21? I was at one of those clubs. I was partying. I was trying to get through college. But I'm looking at you, you're just so composed. Gusto mo yung ginagawa mo talaga, Gwen? Gusto mo talaga to?
I love it. It's my passion.
Gusto niya talaga to? Gusto niya talaga to? Hindi ko siya. Totoo talaga to? Talaga?
Honestly, yes. I'm so happy that I'm making an impact on people's lives. People have been messaging me that they're inspired by my journey. And if that's what I've been doing, that's what I've shown light on them and I've given them hope, that means so much to me. That really warms my heart.
And it's also nice, maraming salamat also to Pro Media. Maraming salamat talaga, Gwen, for giving me the opportunity. Kasi, of course, your first interview, I didn't want to ask you heavy-hitting questions because that was not the right place to do it. And I wanted to bring your personality out. We got the comm skills. We did not get the personality at that time because your voice was like super duper.
Yeah. Very shy, Gwen. But now I feel so
Miss World
confident.
Philippines.
Right.
But now I'm looking at you, tapos iniisip ko, gusto niya talagang mapagod. Gusto niya talaga itong napupuyat, tapos nag-charity work. So gusto mo talaga to.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready to fight for the Philippines. And
Yan ang gusto nating
marinig.
marinig. Yan ang gusto nating marinig. And I think you're also aware that, a lot of the Filipino pageant fans, when it comes to Miss World, the amour isn't really there anymore. That's probably because it took us so long to get our first crown in 2013, and then we've sent them so many worthy Miss World Philippines candidates. We would get placements, but after a while, a lot of the Filipino fans started saying, are we just working on a placement? Because it seems like that's the goal these days, just to place and not to win. Anong mababago sa game plan, Gwen? Is there a game plan to clinch that second blue crown and not just merely place at Miss World?
Well, I've been researching a lot from the past winners, and I see there's not really a pattern because you never know, that year could be your destiny, could be your fate.
Yeah.
But as long as I'm out there representing the Philippines and making it justice, I think that makes a big impact. So what I will do is be myself. Because if you're not enjoying yourself, you feel the pressure that can be seen on the international stage. You have to be happy. You have to represent the Filipinos' generosity out there.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that keyword, happy.
Yes.
Yun yung medyo hindi ko naririnig sa mga pageant girls because every time I listen to them, they're always frantic and preparing. Nalilimutan yung happiness.
Exactly.
There is joy in what
you have to enjoy the journey, Tita. Of course, it's hard work and dedication. We have to enjoy what you're doing because you're out there, you're representing the country that you love, and you have to show that on stage, that you love the Philippines. And that's what I want to do in December.
Okay, so I am going to wrap this one up, but very quickly, Gwen, I want to know from you, uh, how ready are you to take on this challenge? I mean, you were bestowed a crown. Not everybody is still on board with you. We are trying our best to get you out there because your pictures are beautiful. You have sporadic videos out there, but they want more engagement. They want to be more convinced that you are worthy of this Miss World Philippines title. A lot of people think that probably you're not because you're very young, pero nakita naman natin guys with Rabia Mateo, with Hannah Arnold as well. Marami tayong mga younger pageant girls na nakakapag-corona ngayon. Anong commitment mo sa Filipino pageant fans now that you have the blue crown? Address them, Gwen.
Well, there's a reason I joined Miss World Philippines for a second time. I'm ready to take on the challenge, the hardship, the obstacles. There will always be negativity on social media, I have to admit that. But negativity won't bring you anywhere. You have to support your candidates, all of us reigning queens, because we are Filipinos. We will represent the Philippines and we will do our best. So bashing will not make any difference. I think we have to really elevate our sisters, empower them, and make sure that they will make a difference in this world.
Last na lang, Gwen, we have two pageant girls that are competing internationally. Palagi namin sinasabi sa Titas of Pageantry, maliit na pageant man yan o malaking pageant, hindi natin iiwanan yung kababayan nating Pilipino na walang support system sa ibang bansa. Please send us a message for Shane Tormes, who is competing at Miss Global, as well as Shannon Tampon, who is trying to clinch that Miss Elite crown.
So to Shane Tormes, my fellow sister, I am so proud of you, how much hard work you've been putting out there. I've seen it on social media, I've even sent you a message, and I'm really, really proud of you. You're making the Philippines proud. As long as you're giving your best, that's all that matters. You're raising our flag and proving to us that you're a capable Filipina.
Love you, Shani.
Yeah, I love you, Shane. And to Shannon Tampon, my dear Pro Media sister, we're also so proud of you that you're in Egypt right now. You're working your hardest. I've seen your walk. It's amazing. The improvement she's had. She's standing out against all these, other candidates, and you could tell she's a Filipina. She has so much passion. She has so much willpower to take over.
Diba?
Yeah.
Powerful din siya.
Exactly. She's so powerful. I've seen her videos. I'm so proud of her. And I wish all of us could support her so she could bring home the Miss Elite crown, because I know she's deserving and she's capable.
Iyon. So guys, one of the reasons kung bakit natin naiisip that, we probably have like other choices, pero isa sa mga sinasabi kung bakit nanalo si Gwen is she's unassuming. And I remember because every time we would watch you get an award, parang gulat na gulat ka, parang tipong may ilang segundo na naglalag sa utak mo. Ako ba yung tinawag?
Yeah, even sa evening gown, I was so shocked.
Agad?
Everyone was looking, was like, what's happening? Because I'm not sure if I heard it, but I didn't really take it in.
Pero aware ka ba sa number mo? Aware ka na every time, kumbaga automatic na ba siya sa'yo?
Yes, tita. And I wasn't actually supposed to wear blue throughout the whole thing. It was assigned by us. So when I saw my introduction dress, I'm like, oh, it's the same top as my gown.
Blue.
Right?
Oh.
And I told the designer, I was like, could you change it up a bit? And he said, no, this is destiny. This is fate. If it's gonna be blue, then, you never know.
Actually, a little bit of chika about that blue dress pala. Kasi di ba a lot of people are also saying na, pinano nila to kasi naka-blue dress siya. Pero honestly, di ba usually, kapag meron kang crown, minsan yung mga designers mo, nag-iisip, ano ba yung babagay dun sa crown na yun? Minsan nagkakataon na lahat sila naka-blue na lang or lahat sila naka-green na lang na gown. Kunwari, kapag yung accent stones, emerald naman or something. But luckily, that night, you would think na maraming mag-iisip mag-blue gown kasi they're fighting for the blue crown. Pero ikaw lang yung naka-blue nung time na yun. And then if you look at the pictures, blue lahat. So, naniniwala ba tayo doon? Naniniwala ba tayo sa tinatawag na winning glow? Naniniwala ba tayo sa wala? Baraha mo nung mga gabing yun, nag-align para sa'yo. Fate, naniwala ba tayo doon?
Honestly, I think so, but I can't say it's just fate. It's really hard work as well. I worked so hard. I worked through my sweat, my tears, and I'm glad that it really paid off, especially with the support system that I have. Actually, for the swimsuit, I was hoping red, but they were like, it's odd numbers, even numbers. And I'm like, okay, I have to work with that.
Fiery.
Yeah, it was between red and blue for my final gown, and I went with blue because I think it fits my personality better. And it's
Sure.
also
Totoo, kalma-kalma eh, no?
I think red
Nakakaloka.
is so fiery for me. Like for Miss World, I wanted to portray that image that I'm authentic, I'm real, and also blue is my favorite color. So
Yun
I
naman
really
pala.
enjoyed wearing that gown.
So Gwen, thank you very much. We wish you success. And I hope that if you have bashers and naysayers and people who don't believe in you, that in the 6-month period, that they'll turn around and then they'll see that, Miss World Organization did pick a worthy winner and did pick a worthy, successful to Tracy Maureen Perez, who we all love.
Yes, and actually many people doubted Tracy at first. But
Yeah,
look at the
absolutely.
achievements that
Yeah.
she's made, and I'm learning so much from her.
Absolutely. Gwen, are you going to have like more sessions or will you have more interaction with the queens, especially Megan Young, of course? Is this part of the plan to try to pick her brain?
I hope so, actually. But many queens have been messaging me past Miss World, and I'm really grateful.
Oh, good.
They said I really showed that night,
Okay, good.
and they're giving me advice on what to do, and I'm taking it all in. I mean, although it's a lot of advice, I think if I really put it all together, I'm really determined for it. For December.
Yan naman pala. So, basta kumpleto ang support system, kumpleto ang Pilipinas na nagsusuporta. And of course, yung ating kandidata nagtatrabaho ng bonggang-bongga, guys. Feeling ko naman wala tayong problemahin. Maraming salamat, Queen. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Tita Lavina, for having me and for the wonderful questions.
Question. Thank you. And guys, I hope that this is enough for you to come on, rally for Gwen. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Goodbye.